Good morning. I'm Rosemary DiTrolio, and you're listening to The Lightwalker's Path. It's a place to develop new insights, find your soul's purpose, hear enlightening conversation, and be inspired. Good morning. I'm Rosemary, your host, and this is The Lightwalker's Path streaming live on multiple platforms. Join me Tuesday, Eastern, every Tuesday, to develop new insights and develop your soul's purpose. The Lightwalker's Path has enlightening conversations and inspiration for you. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many platforms. Today is our segment is called Self Compassion. And my guest is Rita Denoyers Garcia, owner of Becoming Awake, another New Jersey resident and wonderful person. She's the author of the Self Compassion Project, and her mission has been to teach women skills to gain confidence and calmness and happiness in the world. She specializes in stressed out moms and comes from a solid background of social work. So I'd like to welcome Rita to the show today.
Thank you
Hi,
so much,
Rita.
Mary.
I'm so excited to see you today. How are you?
It's been a while. I'm
I know.
great. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful
Good.
morning here in New Jersey.
It is. It is. It was warm, very warm yesterday, but the 12 seasons of New Jersey, as we say. So I'm excited that you're here, and I'd like to know a little bit about, like, I know that you have a background in social work. So my question is, when did you decide to make that shift into what you're doing now, for your business? Like, when did you decide I'm going to move from this venue into what you do now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what happened was, so I have three small children at the time. Had three
Mm.
small children, and I was actually doing health and wellness marketing. I
Okay.
do have that social work background. When I was raising my kids, doing social work was more difficult, so I started a home business, and
Hmm.
my home business was not doing well. It was really imploding, and I just remember that one day got a phone call that basically said, this is not working out, and I started to cry, and I was sitting on the floor, and all of those voices in your head that you're trying to subdue all the time came in. So it was like, you're a failure, you don't know what you're
Oh,
doing, you quit everything after 6 months, you're a terrible mom, all of those those voices came in, and it felt terrible, but I think it was one of the
mm,
best things that ever happened to me, because it forced me to take a look at what I was doing and why I was doing it, and to get real help.
right.
And that's when I, had a coach help me. I hired a coach,
Hmm.
and one of the first things he said to me was, "Can you be kind and gentle with yourself?"
Ah, good
Yeah,
advice. Good
good
advice.
advice. I
Self-compassion.
completely resisted it.
Yes.
I thought
Yeah.
it was a bunch of malarkey. My first reaction was like, "What's the point of that? I don't get it. I just should be working harder. What are you talking about?"
Hmm.
But because, I also, am kind of a good student, I decided to give it a try, and
Hmm.
for a solid 30 seconds, I wasn't beating myself up, and
Hmm.
I realized this is significant, pay attention to this, um, and I ended up making it a focus of my life because it worked, and
Right.
shortly after that, I started working with him. I worked with him for over 4 years, and shortly after working with him, maybe a few months, I started to feel significantly better, and that's
Hmm.
when I started to reach out to my girlfriends, fellow moms, and say,
Hmm.
"Hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been feeling a lot better. And I have something in my toolkit. Are you interested?" And three of those women said yes. And that was my first group in my living room.
Isn't it funny how, we as caregivers and people that care for and guide other people, we often forget that compassion for ourselves. And I know too, like, we were raised like just pull up your bootstraps, try harder, do more, do more. And you're reminding women that you can do the best when you take care of yourself first. So I think that's
Yeah.
really powerful advice, for all of us, really, not just moms, but like women in general. I think we tend to overdo to do more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's where I came from. Now, I'm sure at some point in my life, someone had said, "Hey, slow your roll, or maybe take a breath, or you could be nicer to yourself. But I couldn't take it in. I could not take it in until I got to that place where everything was imploding and I felt terrible. And I was desperate enough because I had tried everything
Mhm.
else to try
Mhm.
something different.
Yeah. I think it is like for me, I always thought I was being selfish to take care of myself. So
Yeah.
it was so ingrained in my mind that you care for people and you don't worry about how you're doing. And I know
Yes.
I came up with the same thing. I had gotten Epstein-Barr in my 30s after going through divorce, raising a baby. And I was like wiped out. And it really shook me to the point where, okay, I really need to change how I'm treating myself
Yeah.
because when I don't, I'm going to fall apart and I'm raising this
Yep.
baby. What am I going to do? So,
Yes.
I wish I had you then, when I was going through it, because you would have been a great helper to me at that point in my life. Yeah, so that's wonderful. So you find most of your people that you work with are moms or women in general?
Yeah, so they're most of them are moms, not all of them are
Mhm,
moms, but usually they're spinning a lot of plates and trying to do 2 or 3 major jobs in their life. Raising their
mhm,
family is one, starting a career, starting a business, helping a passion, getting involved in the community, so they're in a situation where they could be, drained very easily, especially
mhm.
if just one thing doesn't go the way they think it's supposed to go.
Absolutely. Do you think a lot of it too is retraining mindset? Excuse me. Like how you view a situation, because like
Yeah.
you're saying, one thing goes wrong, it's like the house of cards, everything drops. So
Yeah,
do you find you do a lot of training with like the mindset behind those things? Is
absolutely.
that right?
Mindset is well, I think self-compassion is a way to have a mindset about yourself. It's
Okay.
self compassion in general is a sympathetic consciousness. That's the
Yes.
if you look it up in the dictionary, it's a sympathetic consciousness that acknowledges there's distress and then the desire to
Yeah.
want to alleviate that. So that's wanting to do that for yourself. But a sympathetic consciousness is a mindset. So,
Mm-hmm.
how are you treating yourself? What's your relationship to the world? What's your relationship to yourself? Are you adversarial? Are you always trying to fight something or beat something or race against something or, crush something? We're like, we crushed it. Or
Uh,
are we in collaboration with something? Is the world helping us or is it hurting us? Are we racing against time or are we using time, owning time? And using
yeah.
it to our advantage. So those are all very different mindsets. And depending on the mindset, you can be completely drained or you can
Mm-hmm.
be full of energy.
Mm-hmm. I think mine was people pleasing. And I think that's another thing that can kick you in the tush if you're not careful. It's like you can be people pleasing, but not to the point where you are not also looking for your sanity and
Right.
grace within that parameter.
Yeah, I mean, once again, wanting to please people in itself, there's nothing wrong with that. And it can be a great gift. There are a lot of people who like to make other people feel good, and that's wonderful. It's the overuse.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, the
It's
balance,
the if that's
right? The
the only
balance.
tool in the toolkit. Yeah,
Yeah.
if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If that's your only thing that you're doing all the time, then that becomes a self-sabotaging, um, force in your life, for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So when you have a new client, do you give them like when they meet with you, do you give them a tool right away that they can leave you and practice? I know you do, so I'm going to ask you to tell about that.
So, I would say if you have a call with me, right, and you never work with me again, I would teach you just something very simple to do.
Mhm.
And my freebie does that too. My freebie is like, breathing in a certain way so that you get maximum amount of oxygen and you can relax. I
Right.
teach all about just taking a pause in your life.
Mhm.
Just taking a most women are like, go, 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 go. It's like America runs on Duncan. Remember that? If you know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
slogan, it's all about it's
absolutely.
all speed, going faster, faster,
Do
harder,
more, do
harder.
Yes. I
Yeah, and
find
sometimes
too, like
you need to
in
be
our area
slow.
too, Rita, people move fast. New York, New Jersey,
Yes.
the Eastern Seaboard, we're always busy, 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 you know?
Absolutely. And I think there's another part of the mindset, which is to be productive and to be doing things and to be busy is virtuous. That means
Yes.
you're doing good.
Cultural.
That means you're worthy of something. And it's
That's
like,
right.
yeah,
Yes. You're not what you do. And I think that's another lesson I've learned in life. It's like I identified so strongly with being a teacher. I was a teacher for 32 years. So that was my identity, so to speak. Or you're a mom, or you're this, or you're that. All those labels that we call ourselves isn't
yeah.
really us. That's what we do. Those are our actions, but that's not really who we are in our core.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
something it's taken me a while to get when I was younger. It's like I'm lovable just being me. And
Just
that's something I
existing.
learned.
You're worthy because you exist. And you
Yes.
wouldn't exist if you weren't worthy. That's a
Yes.
mindset. Now, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't do anything with your life. It doesn't mean that you just sit around all day and do
Yeah.
nothing and go, "Hey, I'm worthy." But
Yes.
out of that worthiness, out of that sense, that foundation, you do amazing things because 'cause you're not
Yeah.
trying to compensate for not being worthy. I think
That's
that was a
right.
big one for me, was
Yes.
how so many of the things that I was doing in my life were compensation for a core belief I had of not being enough.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice because I know that it's tough when you have a child and you have this responsibility in your hands. That in itself is such a overwhelming, like, wow, I have this human to raise. And they're all so different. So even if you do the same thing with three different children, each person comes in with, their past life, their karma, their actions, their path that they're going to take, and it's so different for every child.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's a big responsibility.
Kids
Um,
are a box of chocolates, as they
they
say,
you
as
never
far as
know what you get, right? I know. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my question is, like, what would be your one best thing you would tell a person that at this point might be struggling being a parent? What's the one thing you would say? This is my sentence that I want you to put this on your refrigerator.
I would say this is the best thing that could have happened to you.
Okay, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Sometimes when you get that rug pulled out from under you, you realize that you can find a magic carpet, you can
Yeah.
find the gift in that situation. I know in my life, I went through a divorce when my child was a couple months old. And for me, the gift in it was learning who I was alone and then redeveloping my independence from it and then going on. So, we
Yeah.
all find something, the gift out of the manure, so to speak. So,
That's a
I
mindset,
just
and that's a
it is a
mindset.
mindset.
If you can find the
Yeah,
gift in every problem or situation or an
definitely.
opportunity in there, you're golden.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's kind of how I've lived my life is that there's an opportunity with every life lesson. And if you can draw that out, that pearl of wisdom from it, then you're able to move ahead. But if you can't, you get stuck in that problem and without a
Yep,
solution. And
yep.
that's where people get stuck. We're coming up on a sponsor break. So I'm Rosemary, and you're watching the Lightwalkers Path. And my guest is Rita. And we'll be right back with more interesting conversation about self compassion and caring. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the Lightwalker's Path, Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary. And my guest today is Rita Garcia. And she's a wonderful person who owns Becoming Awake and is a wonderful guide for women. And before we broke, our conversation was about what we do and our self compassion. And my question for you, Rita, is what are some of the best things that you do to keep yourself centered and grounded in times of stress?
So one of the things that I do first and foremost is I try to get a good night's sleep,
Mhm. Oh, yeah, that's a
eat
trick.
eat well, get
Yeah.
outside to walk every day, move my
Mhm.
body, be
Mhm.
with people that I care about, that I can laugh with. There's a
Mhm.
there's a great book called Miracle Morning, I think it's called, where it talks about it's for business owners and it's talking about how to make your morning like miraculous and
Mhm.
full of energy. And
Mhm.
usually it's like meditation and this and that. And I thought, "Well, you know what really helps me? I like to get out, have
Mhm.
something to drink, and be with people and laugh." So
Yeah.
every morning, pretty much every morning, I go to our spot. I meet with a bunch of people who
Mhm.
have the time to do that, and we just laugh. We laugh
Mhm.
at ourselves, we laugh at the world, we laugh at whatever. And I have to say, it is a great way for me personally to start my day. So I think everyone's going to have their own unique formula, and it can be
Mhm.
out of the box like that. Like it that was
Yeah.
not written in the book. Go
Right.
have coffee with a bunch of guys and laugh. It was
Yes.
very I need that as an extrovert. I need
Do.
that big people thing,
I do
especially as a
too.
solopreneur.
Yes, yes. It's funny because as a child I was very, very shy. So I was considered introverted in, people knew me, let's say in high school, but I was really like a hidden extrovert because I love being in front of a group and I love presenting and I just love talking and getting the word out. But yet if you put me in a party where I don't know people, I'm going to gravitate toward a few people where I can have good conversation with rather than flit around the room.
Yes.
So my sister is a total extrovert. She loves, the whole room. She can just like butterfly through the whole thing. I'm like, no, just give me two or three people in a small group and I'll be right.
Yes.
I'll be good right here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm that kind
yeah.
of gal as well. Yeah, I don't like to go to the stadium. That's
Mm-hmm.
too much for me. I rather be in a smaller
A
clutch of
small group.
people.
Yes. And I know that you have an interesting hobby outside of your business that you love to do related to laughing. Do you want to talk about that or not?
Sure. Yeah, no. Um, no, I told you never to bring that up. No.
Oh,
What I
no.
do is I do stand-up comedy as a hobby. I
Hmm.
started doing that in 2017. I took a class. Believe it or not, you can take a class in stand-up comedy. You can take a class in
Oh,
anything these days.
uh,
And I saw it at the adult school, and I was terrified of it, which tells me I
yeah,
kind of needed to do it. It was one of those
yeah.
like I just need to do this, and signed up for it, and met some really lovely people that were in all different walks of
Mhm,
life that I never would have hung out with otherwise. And
mhm.
we learned how to craft 5 to 10 minutes of jokes, and then
Yeah.
graduation was to perform that at a club. And
Wonderful.
yes, and it was, terrifying and yet exhilarating at the same time, like a lot of these experiences, and I just kept doing
Mhm,
it, kept taking the class, kept doing it, and now, I have the privilege and honor of teaching moms how to do
mhm.
that as well, women who wanna have that experience, and man, these
Yeah.
women are hilarious. They are
Oh,
hilarious.
there's so much funny stuff when you work with kids or when you have kids that, like, when you talk about it, I know I was watching one of your podcasts that you did, one of your comedy things, and you just had me rolling. I'm like, it's so true. The stuff that, that happens, but you don't really talk about it. Maybe with other
Yes.
mothers you might, but there's some funny stuff kids do that just it cracks you up. So that's a lot of information to talk about in a comedy show, right?
Yeah, it just the I say the jokes write themselves, right?
Yes,
Either my
yes.
husband says something funny or my kids say something funny or I find myself in kind of a Lucille Ball situation,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just makes life lighter, and you
Mhm.
just kind of see the ridiculousness of it all, and it seeps into the coaching too because there's so many times where we take ourselves so seriously, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, my response to my clients is, "Hey, welcome to planet Earth."
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll talk about something like, "Can you believe this happened?" or da da da, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's being an
Yep.
earthling,"
There we go.
and
There
just
we go.
that can trigger a little laughter or a little like
Mm,
looseness, wiggle room in the serious situation so that you
mhm.
can make a better decision. And when I started the comedy, it was really completely for selfish reasons. I just wanted to have the experience. I wanted to prove to myself I could do it because I had done other kinds of comedy, like sketch comedy
Mhm.
and improv. And I thought, well, stand up, that's like another level. But what
Yeah.
happened after that first show is I did my set. I left stage. I was kind of in that, "Whoo, I can't believe I did that," and I'm standing in
Mhm.
the back of the club where there's, like, a little bar, and I'm having my little drink of white wine with the bartender who says, "Hey, you did pretty good there," and I'm like, "Thanks,"
Mhm.
And this woman comes up to me and she says, I have 3 kids too. I never get out of the house. I came to see one of your classmates, but I have to say, your jokes made me laugh so hard I almost peed my pants.
I love that. That's a great
And I
compliment.
thought, well, I hope you were wearing a panty shield. That's what I
Yeah,
said to
yeah.
her. But what I wanted to say to her was, "Thank you. I had no idea that I was having an impact on anybody other than, like, laughing, but a therapeutic, cathartic
Yes,
impact." And
I
it really
know.
drove home to me that humor is so healing. It's so
I
healing.
My father was hysterical. My father was a funny man. He'd walk in a room. He had this presence about him. He was a very loving, like a teddy bear kind of personality, and he was hysterical. He went on a trip with his family members to Hawaii, and on the bus, he decided to take the mic. He starts singing and telling jokes. And the people on the thing were, some of them were Japanese. They thought he was a celebrity from America. So he's got, somewhere in Japan, he's got his arm around all these little Japanese people, and they're taking his picture and they're going, "Oh,
Yeah,
Sam." They love my father. And
of
everybody that
course.
talks about him laughs because he was so funny, and it just made people feel joyful. And that's how I love, I just have that even today after he's gone all these years. I think about stuff he says and we kid about it. We have like certain things my father would say, and it is very healing when you have laughter in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Laughter is best medicine.
Yes. When you're talking about time, like telling comedy, a lot of it is timing. And I was thinking of like in life too, it's always divine timing. And sometimes when we force will for something to happen, it doesn't happen because the timing's not right or the
Yep.
situation is right for us. And I think that when people realize that, they step back and say, you know what, let me just wait on this decision and see what happens. And I think that's
Yes.
really good advice for just stepping back and waiting for the timing, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you've had kids, we've all had that visual of your toddler trying to do something that they can't do, and they're just,
Yeah.
like, getting more frustrated, and they're trying to force it, and all they
Mhm.
have to do is kinda relax and just go, "Choop," and sometimes you allow them to have their machinations around that, and sometimes you just show them, you know?
Yes.
But I think of myself often if I'm in that situation where I'm like, "Arr!" I'm like a
Yeah.
toddler, it's like trying to force something and having my little tantrum, and if I could just
Yes.
take a step back and parent myself, which is what
Yes.
self-compassion is, really, it's a reparenting of yourself, and just go, "Oh,
So,
I'm sorry. Oh, you're suffering with that. I'm so sorry. Why don't you just take a little break and sit on my
yeah.
lap and then try again later. See how it
Yeah.
is."
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and I often think about, sometimes our frustrations are voices you hear from your childhood and patterns that you have to break and take a look at again. And
Yeah.
some of it is like you don't have to always get that A plus. Like to me, my mother was very, very, very driven. She was a super student. She was valedictorian. So me, I always had to get the A plus. Like no matter what it is, I have to get the A plus. I have to do my best. And sometimes it's like sometimes it's okay if you don't get the A plus. Just like, give yourself a break. You're doing a lot, and
Yeah.
that's a
Yes.
relearning. That's a relearning.
That is a
Yeah,
relearning. Like, yeah, it's not always gonna be an A plus, and guess what? There's always gonna be a person who does better than you.
there is. There always will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't
Yes.
drive yourself crazy with that one.
Absolutely. So I was going to ask you, what are you said some of your early challenges in life. So like when you have someone that comes up with a lot of challenges in their life, um, what would be the thing you would say that their first step would be? So someone that's faced with a lot of swirling family issues and junk around them. I always say you're like the eye of the storm. You're in the middle of all this storm going around you. What is your first thing that you would tell somebody to do before you started like even guiding them actually? What would be your
Yeah,
one thing?
I think I would help them to see that they are their own guide. So it would be to I'd be like, okay, I get a picture for what's going on. Now, you want to play a game with me? Let's play with something. And they go, oh,
Yeah.
all right, well, whatever. And then
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, I want you to just close your eyes,
Mhm.
take a couple breaths, at your own pace until you feel a little more centered. And
Mhm.
that may take some time because they may not be used to doing that. Then I say, okay,
Mhm.
now I want you to put your hand on your heart
Mhm.
and I want you to ask yourself a question. And the question is, what do I really want right now?
Mhm. Very
It
similar to I use.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be what do I really want? What's the next step? Show me the
Mhm.
way. Whatever the question or the statement is that is appropriate,
Mhm.
but it's a calming, and then they get that experience of the calm within them that always is there in the background.
Mhm. Under the noise. Under the
Under
noise.
all the noise, where's the stillness and the silence? And
Yeah.
there's a million different ways to do that.
Yeah. I too, when I guide clients too, a lot of them are stuck in their brain. And
Yeah.
the answer's never up here. This is the processor. It's always down in the heart center. So I
Yeah.
guide them to drop the energy down into the heart
Yeah.
center and ask your heart, what do you want? What will make you
Yeah.
happy? And that
Yeah.
usually guides them the best way. So we're going to finish speak more of our conversation after the break. This is the Lightwalker's Path. My guest is Rita. And then when we come back, we're going to finish or talk more about our conversation on heart awareness and what our heart knows that we don't know. Okay, we'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Rosemary. This is the Lightwalker's Path. Grow your spirit with Rosemary. And my guest today is Rita. And when we went before break, we were talking about the wisdom of the heart related to what your path is and what your best choices are. And they're not in your head, even though we think they are. So, what's your thoughts on your heart wisdom, Rita? Like when you work with clients, what does their heart tell you that their brain will not tell you?
Oh, that's a good question. So the brain, we're thinking so many thoughts. What do they say? 67,000 thoughts a day or something. Everyone's got a different number, but we're thinking a lot of
Yeah.
thoughts and they're swimming
Yeah.
around. And I've found that a lot of people kind of ignore what's going on in their heart because they're trying to solve all their problems with their head, right? Because the ego is like, I got it. I have total
Yep.
control. We can figure this out. I'm going to cause more problems than I solve, but I'm important. Um,
Mhm.
and the heart is just there. One of the exercises I do, which I got from positive intelligence, was to feel your heartbeat with your hand. And
Mhm.
what I added to that exercise was, can you realize that you don't even have to think for your heart to beat? You don't have to tell it to beat. It just beats on its own. It's always there
Yep.
in the background, always taking care of you. And when
Yeah.
you really take that in, you realize, wow, my heart is always there helping me out,
Mhm.
literally allowing me to walk around and be alive. Right?
Absolutely.
So maybe it's got something to share with me. It's sort of like your heart speaking to your brain going, I've got some things to add here if you're
That's right.
interested. You could take
Ab-
that in.
yes.
It just brings the attention to the heart, and so you start to appreciate the heart, and then you start being able to focus on it more. And when you're focused on your heart, your whole physiology changes.
Does. It does. It absolutely raises your vibration and it sends out patterns that are different. And if you ever go to heartmath.org,
Yes, I was just gonna
they
say
have such
yeah.
amazing information that the heart patterns and goes out and out and out and out. And it affects not only you, but people in your energy field. And that's one of the techniques I teach my healers too, is like
Yeah.
link in with that heart energy and think of
Yeah.
like something you love and then get that feeling in your whole body
Yes.
and then make a decision because you can't
Yes.
make a decision if you're up here chattering. You're gonna
Yes.
you're gonna talk yourself in
Absolutely.
or out of something back. That you should be listening to your heart instead, and that guides people that
Absolutely.
are overthinkers. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have recently been exposed and have access to some tools that I use with my clients, which are all around subconscious deprogramming. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you deprogram the subconscious and you reprogram it, it automatically allows the heart to have more influence because your
Yeah.
body's relaxed. You're not in your
Yeah.
emergency reactiveness in your head. You
Yes.
are able to go, okay, that's no longer an issue for me. And then you drop down in your heart and you can hear what that wisdom is because your whole body's involved then.
Absolutely.
It's not just your head. The
That's
dopamine is your whole body. The oxytocin can start being pumped, you feel better. And when you feel better and you're in that higher vibe, you get
Mm-hmm.
more ideas. You just get more access to the sky. You see the bigger picture.
Yes, and one of the things that I do before I make a decision is I go into Heart Center and then I imagine in great detail the decision. And if I feel open and expansive and like, ooh, then I know it's a yes. And if I feel shut down or any body sensation in the stomach area, it's either a wait or a no. And it's
Yep.
led me correctly every time. Like even if I'm going to an event, before I do it, I go into Heart Center, I feel it. And then if I get yes, 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 then I do it. And if I don't, I wait and then I'll ask again. If I still get a no, it's a no. And
Yeah.
no matter how I try to say that's a great idea, if my brain tells me my body doesn't agree, then I know it's not right. You know, they
Right.
have to be in sync. They have to be in sync. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like water going down a pipe. If there's a
That there you go.
clog, it doesn't go any further. You got to
Yes.
unclog it. Yeah.
Unclog the drain. So I was going to ask if you had any kind of things that you had as a child. I was very intuitive. So I'm going to ask you, you probably were as well. But were there some things that filtered through when you were younger that you came back to as an adult and said, you know what? I had this thing. I'm going to develop it. Or, some kind of inner gift you had when you were younger that you maybe realized or didn't realize.
So I would say early on, I realized I was sensitive to the energy in a room, the mood
Yes,
in the I
me
would
too.
walk in and I would kind of notice if there was a heaviness or not, and and then I would look around for clues, and sometimes it was like the conversation automatically stopped when I walked in, right? Or people would
Yeah,
look at each other. So I would have those sort of clues as well. And then a lot of times people are like, "Oh, everything's fine." And I knew things were not fine.
you could feel
So
it.
I could
Hmm.
feel it. And so, looking back at that, I knew how to walk into a room to protect
Hmm.
myself, right?
Hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
I also realized, so it's great to be that sensitive person, but that sensitivity is only as good as you learn how to have
Cope.
great boundaries and right, because
Yeah.
otherwise you want to
Oh, yeah.
bubble wrap yourself all the
Yeah,
time. Joe.
boundaries are. I'm the same way, Rita. So I understand completely. Like I was a kid, and if someone argued in that room an hour before, I'd walk in and I'd feel it.
Yeah,
So I was also very sensitive in groups. If someone was sad, I would know, like, oh, so and
yeah,
so is sad and they want to cry. And it's helped me a
yeah,
great deal in my business. But I have learned, I have very strong boundaries with clients and with
yeah,
with people. I really do, and it's something that is a vital thing for empathic people because you are an empath if you're
yeah,
sensitive to energy, right?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
also when I was a kid, if I went to a mall with my mom, I would immediately feel anxious and depressed. And
Oh
I
yeah.
just thought I hate shopping or I hate
Yes.
capitalism or I hate consumption or I hate whatever it was. But I
Yeah.
think what I was really picking up on was this
Bombardment.
stew of all these different feelings people were feeling, and I was picking up on them, and
Absolutely.
it was too
Yes.
much. It was too much
Exhausting.
for me.
I remember going to Alexander's, which was this big department store when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and they always had the sales. My mother would love to go. She'd bring my sister and I, and we'd be shopping for hours. I would be like so wiped out just walking in that place the same way. I could feel the energy and the people and the vibe. It's like, oh my gosh, I was wired. So, I know for me, like I have to come home and clear myself, and I have to sit in my garden or pull
Yeah.
weeds or something earthy to get myself back and cleared up,
Yep.
so
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
are
I've
things
been
that
known
I
to
learned.
lay down on the grass and
Yeah, I
just
do
feel
that.
the earth to ground
Yes,
myself. Yeah.
absolutely. That's really vital. And I think, we're not always taught these skills. Like I know we're not taught these skills. And I think what surprised me was when you're younger, you think everybody has the same experience you have because you don't know. And then
Yeah.
you're like, you go through it and like, wow, they don't feel what I feel, or they're not getting the vibe from this room like I am. And then you put it together when you're older, like, oh, wow, like not everybody's feeling the same thing. And you don't
Yep.
know, you take it for granted, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what's the quality you wish people had more of automatically?
Um, self-compassion.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
The world would be a kinder place, right? You can't
Well,
hurt
yeah, I
anybody.
think well,
Passionate.
I remember having this kind of debate back and forth because one of my friends says, "No, they should be more compassionate to each other." And I said, "Well, the reason they're not compassionate with each other is because they're not compassionate with themselves.
That's
So if
right.
they
They
can
say
do
you
it for
can't give.
themselves, automatically it spills over." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't give what you don't have, right?
Yeah.
I think too, when you have this sense of like, when I approach something, I try to think from the viewpoint of a loving feeling before I decide. Because if you don't have that first, you'll tend to make a decision out of ego or
Yep.
something else, right?
Yep.
So it's a good thing. I guess it's that compassion. A very Buddhist thing, really.
Yes.
Okay. So the kind of people that you like to hang out with, you said are funny people. Is there like in a room, would you gravitate toward the people having conversation, laughing, seriousness? Like what would be like I got to know that person kind of thing? What would draw you to somebody?
I enjoy both laughter and sort of deep philosophical conversations. I'm not into astrology, but I'm a Gemini, so they're like, "Of course you do. Of course you want all of that." But I think in general, if I walk into a room and I see people laughing, I'm very curious about what they're laughing about. But I would say not every person who laughs is my cup of tea. I like people who are kind of open. They can have a conversation without getting too defensive. They're not self-righteous. They're more
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, yeah, I could see that. I can see that too. Because that's the kind of
Yeah.
person I am. I definitely have my
Yeah.
opinions about things, but I could be like, yeah, I can see that point of view and I can see that too. I kind of side more here, but I understand where these people are coming from and not putting anyone in the, oh, those people.
Yeah.
That's where I get a little turned off when people are like,
Yeah.
well, those people. And I'm
That group.
like,
Yes. Yes. I agree.
whatever.
I agree. And I think too, opinions are okay. Everybody's got one, but the thing is, you have to be open enough to have a conversation, even
Yep.
if it's not what you believe. And I think there's a great
Yeah.
lack now with this kind of judgmental mindset that, oh my God, you might hurt my feelings if you say this the wrong way. I'm like,
Right.
you're going to make mistakes, and that's life. I think you just have to allow each other to express yourself clearly
Yes.
without infringing on someone else's rights intentionally. And I think that's it.
Well, me
Yeah.
disagreeing with someone doesn't mean that I'm against them or I'm a phobe
Right.
or a hater or that I'm taking their
Yeah.
rights away at
That's
all.
right. It's just an opinion. It's
It's just an
just your
opinion.
emotion or opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to know if you were to find the perfect client for you, how do you describe a person that is your perfect person or your perfect client that you'd say, I got that?
My perfect client is someone that I've already worked with, so I can describe her to a T. She's a professional mom. She's got
Okay.
kids. She cares about them so much, and she really wants to work on her career or her passion. She will tell me she's afraid, but she's also game. She's game
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever it is that I ask her to do. She
Mm-hmm.
is enthusiastic. She's ready.
Mm-hmm.
She's ready to make the change. She's dedicated to the change,
Mm-hmm.
willing to do what she just willing to do whatever it takes. And is open to be coached, is open to say, hey, have you thought of this? Have you tried that?
Yeah.
What do you really want? Do you really
Right.
want that? You know, someone who's been around the self-help section of the bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
um, and but feels kind of stuck, knows that there's
Yeah.
more and doesn't
Yeah.
know how to access it and is open to me helping her with that.
Yes, yes. I love your workbook too, your self-compassion workbook. I know you had given me a copy years ago when I met you, and after the break, I want you to just highlight that book and how they can reach you as well. We're coming up on a sponsor break. This is the Lightworker's Path. Grow your spirit with Rosemary, and my guest is Rita, and we'll be back shortly for the last segment of our show. Thank you. Welcome back. This is the Lightwalker's Path. Grow your spirit with Rosemary. My guest is Rita. And before the break, I asked her about her self-compassion workbook, which is a wonderful read. I had an opportunity to have a copy of it, and I read through it, passed it along to someone who I thought they needed it after me. And Rita, I want you to tell about your workbook.
So it's actually right back there. You can kind of see it a little bit.
Hmm.
It's a workbook that I created based on what I'd learned and what I discover in my own experimentation with cultivating my own sense of self-compassion. And it's
Hmm.
not a long workbook. It's like 44 pages. It's divided into three sections: self-compassion, obviously, acceptance, huge part of the whole game, and then integration. How do you bring it into your life? How do you
Hmm.
weave it into your everyday?
Love that.
And um, it's really a lot of exercise, explanation, and lots of examples from my own life and the lives of my clients, and just exercises, a lot of journaling prompts, really.
Mm.
So you can kind of take it into your bed, under your blanket with a cup of tea, and you can just start looking at the questions and feeling into it and just start writing. And for me, writing things down gets it out of your head where everything is swimming, and it puts
Hmm.
it back on paper so that you can see it objectively and you get a much clearer picture of what you're really thinking, because it's not
Yes,
constantly changing. It's not like boop,
that's
boop, 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 boop. It's just like, oh, this is what I've been thinking. Wow.
yes. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's that's the mind dump. I always tell people if they can't sleep at night, do the mind dump. Get everything on paper and then clear it out of the attic, and then put it aside. You don't need to
Exactly.
think about it 2 in the morning. It's there on paper if you want to look at it in the morning.
Yeah,
That's
and there are different ways
great.
to do that. You can write it down, you can draw it. Some people are
Uh-huh.
much more into drawing than writing. Some
Yes.
people need to move it out of their body. Some people
Mm,
need to vocalize it. So you can do it in different ways. There's not just one way to
yes.
kind of dump that stuff that's bothering you so much. But then the other piece is really about just being your own best friend, being your own
Mm-hmm.
BFF. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
beating yourself up as a strategy, try
Yes.
befriending yourself, because I
Yes.
promise you it's going to work out better. I promise
I
you it's going to work out better.
I agree. I also say too, listen to how what you talk to yourself and say to yourself when you make a mistake or when you're unhappy. Because if you're beating yourself up or calling yourself names, that's a big clue to not treating
Yeah,
yourself with kindness. And that's a pattern that has to be broken. Yeah.
absolutely. You can be the worst roommate you've ever had in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So if they want to reach you, what is your website address, Rita?
It's becomingawake.com.
Okay.
One word, becoming awake.
Mm-hmm.
And the book is on there in various forms. There's a PDF you can download. There's, I think a physical book is going to lead you to my Amazon link. It's
Okay.
just easier for me to have Amazon do that, or Goodreads, and also in Barnes and Noble and Goodreads. Um,
Yeah.
so you can get in different forms, and then of course on Amazon you can get Kindle. So you can
Yeah.
get it in various forms, various prices. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of my books I did on Amazon. I just did a workbook, inspired a book of the heart, inspired by angels, a book of the heart. It's a workbook,
Awesome.
and I'm working on
Yeah.
my second one. Should be hitting Amazon probably within the next 2 weeks. But
Wow.
I just yeah, I have 8 of them up right now. I'm going to be also at a book event in New Jersey at the Brook Hollow Winery this weekend coming up. So
Nice.
that's a real fun one to do. So what would be your final, like your best advice that you want people to take away from what you do and who you are? What would be your best advice?
My best advice is to notice where you already are good to yourself. In other
Okay.
words, do you take a pause? Do you breathe? Do you sigh? Do you take a walk? And then build from there. Because one of the biggest things that we do to ourselves, Rosemary, and you know this, I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
tell this, that we think we can't do it or we've never made progress. And it's so much
Yeah.
easier to find where you are doing it, even a little way, and to build from that place than to
Yes.
build from a place of, well, I can't do it and this is going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. They say if you can't, you'll always be right. If you say you can or you can't, you're always right. because you'll
That's right.
act to that belief, right?
That's right.
Okay. Let me see now. If there's anything else I wanted to ask you. So, do you have any workshops or classes coming up that you want your clients to know about or people to know about?
Yes, if you're in New Jersey, I have a workshop, woohoo, in
Woo!
Westfield, New Jersey, and it's all about the Self-Compassion Project workbook. Where literally you're going to get a copy of the book, and we're going to do about a third of it. It's
Okay.
people buy books all the time and they never crack them open. They think
Right.
that the work is
Right.
just buying the book. No, no, no. That's just the beginning. You
Yeah.
got to crack that
Right.
sucker open and use it. So I
Yes.
have a specific workshop that's all about cultivating self-compassion. You're going to get a book, we're going to crack it open, and we're
Oh,
going to do some exercises to start you off. And that is happening Tuesday, May 7th at 7
okay.
p.m. in the Curious Heart store. It's a store right on, I think, Central Avenue in Westfield.
Yes. Okay. Good, thank you. I have a workshop on May 30th coming up on developing your intuition. We're going to practice with each other and some weird things you never thought you could do that you can do right here in New Jersey. So you can go to my website, and if you're interested in May 30th at 11 o'clock, I'll be doing Develop Your Intuition, and I have a few spots left if you're interested, anybody's interested in that. We're coming up on the wrap up of the show. And I want to really thank you for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate you, Rita. And it was wonderful seeing you again. And I am your host. You've been watching The Lightwalker's Path. I hope we both inspired you. So contact Rita or me if you have any questions. And the other thing I was going to tell you is that we have really interesting guests coming up in the future. Next week, I have a woman named Camille Ganir. She's done lots of interesting podcasts, and she's a healer as well. So we have a lot of good guests coming up. And please share. And that would be so awesome. So maybe next week somebody be brave enough and ask a question. So I want to thank you again, Rita. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you once again, Rosemary.
You're welcome.
I'm your host, Rosemary DiTrolio, and you've been watching and listening to The Lightwalker's Path. Learn about my workshops, sessions, courses, and more at info@rosemaryd.com. My website, rosemaryd.com, Hands of Light by Rosemary. Have a blessed and beautiful day.